So we are reading Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss. We are on chapter 11, page number 107 of the PDF.
I'm floating. Catherine was whispering softly. What state are you in? I asked. Nothing. I'm floating. Edward owes me something. He owes me something. Do you know what he owes you? No. Some knowledge he owes me. He had something to tell me, maybe about my sister's child. Your sister's child, I echoed. Yes, it's a girl. Her name is Stephanie. Stephanie? What do you need to know about her? I need to know how to get in touch with her, she answered. Catherine had never mentioned anything to me about this niece. Is she very close to you? I asked. No, but she'll want to find them. Find who? I questioned. I was confused. My sister and her husband, and the only way she can do that is through me. I'm the link. He has information. Her father is a doctor. He's practicing somewhere in Vermont, the southern part of Vermont. The information will come to me when it's needed. I later learned that Catherine's sister and her sister's future husband had put their infant daughter up for adoption. They were teenagers at that time and they were not yet married. The adoption was arranged by the church. There was no information available after that time.
So generally, when you put up your child for adoption, then there's no information given to you and nor to the parents of who they are being adopted by. And we see this on movies all the time.
Yes, I agreed. When it's the right time. Yes, then he will tell me. He'll tell me. What other information does he have for you? I don't know, but he has things to tell me. And he owes me something. Something. I don't know what. He owes me something. She was silent.
So many times, you get stuck in a loop also. When you go into these states, you go round and you start saying the same thing. Okay, because that's what's capturing your attention.
Are you tired? I asked. I see a riddle, was her whispered reply. Tackle on the wall. A riddle. I see a blanket lying on the outside of a stall.
Shivangla, your voice is very low.
Is it a barn? They have horses there. They have many horses. What else do you see? I see many trees with yellow flowers. My father is there. He takes care of the horses. I realized I was talking to a child. What does he look like? He's very tall with gray hair. Do you see yourself? I'm a child, a girl. Does your father own the horses or just take care of them? He just takes care of them. We live nearby. Do you like horses? Yes. Do you have a favorite? Yes. My horse. His name is Apple. I remembered her lifetime as Mandy when a horse named Apple had also appeared. Was she again repeating a lifetime we had already experienced? Perhaps she was approaching it from another perspective.
Now, this is important, right? We can go into the same lifetime or the same dream and observe it from a different perspective. It's like if I take this puck, I can see it from here, I can see it from here, I can see it from here, I can see it from here. And the perspective will be totally different. What is the message that we are getting from that state or from that incident that we are looking for or looking at?
Apple? Yes. Does your father let you ride Apple? No, but I can feed him things. He is used for pulling the master's wagon, pulling his carriage. He's very big. He has big feet. If you're not careful, he'll step on you. Who else is with you? My mother is there. I see a sister. She's bigger than me. I don't see anyone else. What do you see now? I just see the horses. Is this a happy time for you? Yes. I like the smell of the barn. She was being very specific, referring to the moment in time in the barn. Do you smell the horses? Yes. The hay? Yes. Their faces are so soft. There are dogs there too, black ones. Some black ones and some cats. Lots of animals. The dogs are used for hunting. When they hunt for birds, the dogs are allowed to go. Does anything happen to you? No. My question was two-way. Do you grow up on this farm? Yes. The man who is taking care of the horses, she paused. He's not really my father. I was confused. He's not your real father? I don't know. He's not my real father, no. But he is like a father to me. He's a second father. He is very good to me. He has green eyes. Look in his eyes, green eyes, and see if you can recognize him. He's good to you. He loves you. He's my grandfather. My grandfather. He loved us very much. My grandfather loved us very much. He used to take us out with him all the time. We used to go with him to where he would drink, and we could get sodas. He liked us. My question had jolted her out of that lifetime into her observing, superconscious state. She was viewing Catherine's life now and her relationship with her grandfather. Do you still miss him? I asked. Yes, she answered softly. But you see, he has been with you before. I was explaining, trying to minimize her hurt. He was very good to us. He loved us. He never hollered at us. He is used to give us money and take us with him all the time. He liked that, but he died. Yes, but you'll be with him again. You know that. Yes, I've been with him before. He was not like my father. He's so different.
So again, we are actually going through many lifetimes with the same entity or the same person or the same thing with the same ID, right? So you can actually go that, okay, this person has been this for me, this person has been this for me, this person has been this for me. And I mentioned this before, when we go into these altered states, even in this earth life existence that we are existing in right now, you can actually start to discern that, okay, this person was my wife, this person was my brother, this person was my father, this person was my teacher, and so on and so forth. At times it becomes difficult to deal with it in this lifetime, because you will instinctively start dealing with that person on that basis of that old relationship, but that relationship doesn't exist in this reality or this earth life existence that we are going in. So you have to monitor that in a very nice manner. So like this over here, she's been with this gentleman who was a grandfather, and this person has been a father and has been with her in other lifetimes also.
Why does one love you so much and treat you so well, and the other one is so different? Because one has learned, he has paid a debt he has owed. My father has not paid his debt. He has come back without understanding. He will have to do it again. Yes, I agreed. He has to learn to love, to nurture. Yes, she answered. If they don't understand this, I added, They treat children like property instead of like people to love. Yes, she agreed. Your father still has to learn this. Yes, your grandfather already knows. I know, she interjected. We have so many stages we go through when we are in physical state, just like the other stages of evolution. We have to go through the infancy stage, the baby stage, the child stage. We have so far to go before we reach our goal. The stages in physical form are hard. Those in the astral plane are easy. There we just rest and wait. These are the hard stages now.
So again, that is why Earth life existence is given so much of value in the astral planes, because it's a difficult process to go through. This is like a compressed learning school, right? So we learn a lot when we come into Earth life existence. The only issue with it is that it can become addictive and we might get stuck over here. That's why awareness of what is happening around us, what are we doing here, these questions become very important for us to be able to actually transcend, get from the karmic law. Okay, you can look at it from the karmic law principle that you have to keep coming back until all your karma is released. Okay, from the Vedantic principle, it's also about prarabdha karma and sanchit karma. Once you have removed all your prarabdha karma, technically they say that you get out of this earth life existence, go back. And whatever has matured in the Sanchit karma, that again comes back as your prarabdha and you come and experience. The idea is to remove all the karma so that you can transcend. So over here again, she's saying that in the astral plane, it is much easier life, right? It is a gentle life. So when you're in that state of consciousness, the clearing is slower, but it is easier. Over here, the clearing is faster, but it is a more difficult life or a difficult process to go through.
How many planes are there in the astral state? There are 7, she answered. What are they? I questioned, looking to confirm those beyond the 2 mentioned earlier in the session. I've only been told 2, she explained. The transition stage and the stage of recollection. Those are the 2 that I'm familiar with also. We will know the others later.
So again, when you look at it from the shamanic principle, from shamanism, they have 7 layers in the upper world and 7 layers in the lower world. So she's confirming the 7 layers. Of course, in all cultures, there is a cosmology which is there. So you have multiple layers of levels of consciousness also. Even in the Monroe principle, we've got the focus levels. In the Vedantic principle, you have the loks, right? There are different loks, and then there are different realities when we go into Vedantic principles. Even the Tibetans had it, and that different states of consciousness that you could go into.
You have learned at the same time I did, I observed. We learned today about deaths. It is very important. I will remember what I should remember, she said enigmatically. Will you remember these planes? I inquired. No, they aren't important to me. They are important to you. I had heard this before. This was for me, to help her, but more than that, to help me. But more than that, to help me, but more than that, too. Yet I could not quite fathom what the greater purpose could be. You seem to be getting so much better now, I went on. You are learning so much. Yes, she agreed. Why are people now so drawn to you, attracted to you? Because I've been freed from so many fears and I'm able to help them. They feel some psychic pull to me.
So again, as your field starts to clear, people tend to start getting attracted to you. They will come and they feel comfortable in your presence to download the data or the trauma that they are experiencing, because your stable field allows them to feel stability within themselves also. This is something that we find that anyone who's been hearing the hemisync meditations on a regular basis, this automatically starts to happen.
Are you able to deal with this? Yes, there was no question about it. I'm not afraid, she added. Good, I will help you. I know, she replied. You're my teacher. Chapter 13. Catherine had gotten rid of her distressing symptoms. She was healthy beyond normal. Her lifetimes were beginning to repeat. I knew we were approaching a termination point, but what I did not realize on this autumn day as she again settled into her hypnotic trance was that 5 months would elapse between this hypnosis session and her next, which would be her last. I see carvings, she began. Some of them are done in gold. I see clay. People are making pots. They're red, some type of red material they're using. I see a brown building, some type of brown structure. That's where we are. Are you in the brown building or near it? I'm in it. We're working on different things. Can you see yourself while you're working? I asked. Can you describe yourself? What you're wearing? Look down. What do you look like? I have some type of red, some long red material on. I have funny shoes like sandals. I have brown hair. I'm working on making some type of figure. It's a figure of a man. A man. He has some kind of a stick, a rod in his hand. The other people are making things out of, some out of metals. Is this done in a factory? It's just a building. The building is made out of stone. The statue that you're working on, the man with the stick, do you know who it is? No, it's just a man. He takes care of the cattle, the cows. There are lots of them, statues around. We just know what they look like. It's a very funny material. It's hard to work on. It keeps crumbling. Do you know the name of the material? I don't see that. Just red, something red. What will happen to the statue after you make it? It will be sold. Some will be sold in the marketplace. Some will be given to the different nobles. Only those with the finest workmanship will be given to the house of nobles. The rest will be sold. Do you ever deal with these nobles? No. Is this your job? Yes. Do you like it? Yes. Have you been doing this long? No. Are you good at it? Not very. Do you need more experience? Yes, I'm only learning. I understand. Do you still live with your family? I don't know. But I see brown boxes. Brown boxes? I repeated. They have little openings. They have a doorway in them, and some of the statues sit inside the door. They are made of wood, some type of wood. We have to make the statues for them. What is the function of the statues? They are religious, she answered. What religion is there? The statue. There are many gods, many protectors, many gods. People are very frightened. There are many things made here. We make games too. Game boards with holes in them. Animal heads go in the holes. Do you see anything else there? It's very hot and dusty, sandy. Is there water around? Yes, it comes down from the mountains. This lifetime was beginning to sound familiar too. Are the people afraid I explored? Are they superstitious people? Yes, she answered. There's much fear. Everyone is afraid. I'm afraid too. We must protect ourselves. There is sickness. We must protect ourselves. What kind of sickness? Something is killing everyone. Lots of people are dying. From the water, I inquired. Yes, it's very dry, very hot because the gods are angry and they are punishing us. She was revisiting the lifetime when the Tanis cure. I recognized the religion of fear, the religion of Osiris and Hathor. Why are the gods angry? I asked, already knowing the answer. Because we have disobeyed the laws. They are angry. What laws have you disobeyed? Those that have been set out down by the nobles. How can you appease the gods? You must wear certain things. Some people wear things around their necks. They will help you with the evil. Is there a particular god that the people fear most? They're afraid of them all. Do you know the names of any gods? I don't know the names, I only see them. There's one that has a human body but the head of an animal. There's another one that looks like a sun. There's one that looks like a bird. He's black. They run a rope around their necks. Do you live through all this? Yes, I do not die. But member of your family too? I remember. Yes, my father. My mother is okay. Your brother? My brother, he's dead. She remembered. Why do you survive? Is there something particular about you? Something you've done? No, she answered, then changed the focus. I see something with oil in it. What do you see? Something white. It almost looks like marble. It's alabaster. Some type of basin. They have oil in it. It's used to anoint the hands of the priests. I added, yes. What is your function now? Do you help with the oil? No, I make the statues. In the same brown building? No, it's later, a temple. She looked distressed for some reason. Is there a problem there for you? Somebody has done something in the temple that has angered the gods. I don't know. Was it you? No, no, I just see the priests. They are preparing some sacrifice, some animal. It's a lamb. Their heads are bald. They have no hair on them at all, nor on their faces. She fell silent, and minutes slowly passed. Abruptly, she became alert, as if she were listening to something. When she spoke, her voice was deep. Her master was present. It is on this plane that some souls are allowed to manifest themselves to the people who are still in physical form. They are allowed to come back only if they have left some agreement unfulfilled. On this plane, intercommunication is allowed, but the other planes, this is where you're allowed to use your psychic abilities and communicate with people in physical form. There are many ways to do this. Some are allowed the power of sight and can show themselves to the people still in physical form. Others have the power of movement and are allowed to telepathically move objects. You only go to this plane if it is useful for you to go there. If you have left an agreement that has not been fulfilled, You may choose to go here and communicate in some way, but that is all, to which the agreement must be fulfilled. If your life has been abruptly ended, this would be a reason for you to go to this plane. Many people choose to come here because they are allowed to see those who are still in physical form and very close to them. But not everyone chooses to have communication with these. To some people, it may be too frightening. Catherine felt silent and seemed to be resting. She began to whisper very softly.
So again, over here, different planes, right? So I would say that in the Monroe process, this would be something like 23, where you're stuck, or even the belief system territories where you have some agenda, right? All ghosts, all these visitations, etc., normally take place in 23. Having said that, there are certain entities or certain idents who have the power to manifest in front of people. So it's like in Autobiography of a Yogi in chapter 43, we read that Yogananji's guru, what was his name? Yeah, Ishwarananji, I think. He actually, what?
Yukteswarji.
Yeah, Yukteswarji, he manifested in bodily form in front of Yogananji, right? So again, that is what he's talking, that sometimes some people are allowed to be able to do that, and people who are living in this earth life existence can actually perceive and communicate with them also.
I see the light. Does the light give you energy? I asked. It's like starting over. It's a rebirth. How can people in physical form feel this energy? How can they tap into it and be recharged? By their minds, she answered softly. But how did they reach this state? They must be in a very relaxed state. You can renew through light. Through light. You must be very relaxed so you no longer are expending energy, but you are renewing yours. When you sleep, you get renewed. She was in her superconscious state, and I decided to expand the question. How many times have you been reborn? I asked. Have they all been here in this environment, the earth, or elsewhere as well? No, she answered, not all here. What other planes, what other places do you go to?
So again, to go into these states of consciousness, you need to be very relaxed, right? So that is what the preparatory process in the Monroe exercises does for you. It puts you into a relaxed state. It clarifies your intent of what you're going to have in that exercise. It gives you a protection. It raises your energy level and then takes you into the altered states, right? Now, we are born multiple times. We are born tens of thousands of times. So naturally over here, it is not only the earth plane existence that we exist in, but we go into other galactic states of consciousness also. There are actually 3 programs at the Institute, which is called Starline 1, Starline 2, and Starline Reunion, which go into these intergalactic states of consciousness. We haven't got it to India yet, but yes, in due course of time, they will come here also.
I have not finished what I have to do here.
Sumangla, your voice is cracking. You're not close enough to the mic.
I have not finished what I have to do here. I cannot move on until I've experienced all of life. And I have not. There will be many lifetimes to fulfill all of the agreements and all of the debts that are owed.
So again, we come with a big agenda. We need to fulfill the agenda of knowing. It's like going into a university and then going through the various modalities that we have to learn and, transit.
But you are making progress, I observed. We always make progress. How many times have you been through lifetimes on the earth? 86. 86? Yes. Do you remember them all? I will, when it is important for me to remember them. We had experienced either fragments or major portions of 10 or 12 lives, and lately these had been repeating.
So again, it becomes important, right? Whichever lifetime is affecting this particular lifetime, you generally start looping with those lifetimes. Having said that, we've not only attended 86 lifetimes, we all must have had tens of thousands of lifetimes.
Apparently, she had no need to remember the remaining 75 or so lifetimes. She had indeed made remarkable progress, at least in my terms. What progress she made from here, from this point, might not depend on the recollection of lifetimes. Her future progress might not even depend on me or my health. She began to whisper softly again.
So again, the progress, once you've connected with the field, right? You've jacked in, the socket has gone into the plug point, and then the electricity is bound to flow. You don't need someone to slot you in again because you're anyway slotted in.
Some people touch the astral plane by using drugs, but they do not understand what they have experienced. But they have been allowed to cross over. I had not asked her about drugs. She was teaching, sharing knowledge, whether I asked specifically or not.
So again, when you use drugs, you go into in the Monroe process, something called Focus 22, where you're there but not there at the same time, right? And instigated altered states of consciousness are never very stable. But if we can go into these altered states through our own process, then it becomes much more stable and much more effective for us. So that's why she's not recommending drugs.
Can't you use your psychic powers to help you progress here? I asked. You seem to be developing these more and more. Yes, she agreed. It is important, but not so important here as it will be in the other planes. That is part of evolution and growth. Important to me and to you? Important to all of us, she replied. How do we develop these faculties? You develop through relationships. There are some with higher powers who have come back with more knowledge. They will seek out those who need the development and help them. She lapsed into a long silence. Leaving her superconscious state, she entered another lifetime.
So again, help is always available. When the student is ready, the master will appear. Now, of course, we don't have to have a physical master. We can make technology our master. We can use other processes our master. We can make a book our master, and so on and so forth, right? So we can get knowledge from various sources.
I see the ocean. I see a house near the ocean. It's white. The ships come and go from the port. I can smell the sea water. Are you there? Yes. What is the house like? It is small. It has some type of tower on the top, a window, where you might look out onto the sea. It has some type of telescope. It's brass, wood, and brass. Do you use this telescope? Yes, to look for the ships. What do you do? We report the merchant vessels when they come into port. I remembered she had done this in another past lifetime. When she was Christian, the sailor whose hand was wounded during a naval battle. Are you a sailor? I asked, looking for confirmation. I don't know. Maybe. Can you see what you're wearing? Yes, some type of white shirt and brown short pants and shoes with big buckles. I am a sailor later in my life, but not now. She could see into her future, but the act of doing so caused her to jump ahead to that future. I'm hurt, she winced, writhing in agony. My hand is hurt. She was indeed Christian, and she was again reliving the sea battle. Was there an explosion? Yes, I smell gunpowder. You will be all right, I reassured her, already knowing the outcome. Many people are dying, she was still agitated. The sails are torn, part of the port side has been blown away. She was scanning the ship for damage. We must repair the sails. They must be repaired. Do you recover? I asked. Yes. It's very difficult to stitch the fabric on the sails. Are you able to work with your hand? No, but I'm watching others. Sails. They're made of canvas. Some type of canvas. Very hard to stitch. Many people are dead. They have much pain. She winced. What is it? This pain in my hand. Your hand heals. Go ahead in time. Do you sail again? Yes, she paused. We are in South Wales. We must defend the coastline. Who is attacking you? I believe they are Spanish. They have a large fleet. What happens next? I just see the ship. I see the port. There are shops. In some of the shops, they make candles. There are shops where they buy books. Yes, do you ever go in the bookshops? Yes, I like them very much. The books are wonderful. I see many books. The red one is with history. They are written about towns, the land. There are maps. I like this book. There's a shop where they have hats. Is there a place where you drink? I remembered Christian's description of the ale. Yes, there are many, she responded. They serve ale, very dark ale, with some kind of meat, some mutton and bread, very large bread. The ale is very bitter, very bitter. I can taste it. They have wine too and long wooden tables. I decided to call her by name to see her responses. Christian, I called emphatically. She answered loudly, without hesitation. Yes, what do you want? Where is your family, Christian? They are in an adjacent town. We sail from this port. Who is in your family? I have a sister. A sister? Mary. Where is your girlfriend? I don't have one. Just the women in the town. Nobody special? No, just the women. I returned to sailing. I fight in many battles, but I am safe. You grow old. Yes. Do you ever marry? I believe so. I see a ring. Do you have children? Yes, my son will also say, there's a ring with a hand. It's a hand holding something. I can't see what. The ring is a hand. It's a hand clasping something. Catherine began to gag. What's wrong? The people on the ship are sick. It's from the food. We've eaten some food that is bad. It's salt pork. Her gagging continued. I took her ahead in time, and the gagging ceased. I decided not to progress her through Christian's heart attack again. She was already exhausted, and so I brought her out of the trance. Chapter 14. 3 weeks passed before we met again. My brief illness and her vacation had caused the delay. Catherine continued to prosper during this period, but when we began the session, she seemed anxious. She announced that she was doing so well and feeling so much better that she did not feel hypnosis could help her any more than it already had. She was right, of course. Under ordinary circumstances, we might have begun terminating therapy weeks ago. We had continued in part because of my interest in the messages from the masters and because some minor problems still persisted in Catherine's present day life. Catherine was nearly cured and the lifetimes were repeating. But what if the masters had more to tell me? How could we communicate without Catherine? I knew she would continue our sessions if I insisted, but I did not feel right about insisting. With some sadness, I agreed with her. We chatted about the events of the past 3 weeks, but my heart was not in it. 5 months drifted by. Catherine maintained her clinical improvement. Her fears and anxieties were minimal. The quality of her life and her relationships was just dramatically uplifted. She was dating other men now, although Stuart was still in the picture. For the first time since she was a young child, she felt some joy and real happiness in her life.
Bhaiya, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Bhaiya, that earlier than this, they mentioned something about her being very exhausted,
Mhm.
that I need to get her out of it. That means the whole thing is very traumatic to go through this whole
No,
thing, or
no,
what?
it's not traumatic because you're going into altered states. At times, a lot of energy is used in the body system. So you may feel that you need to rest. A lot of release also takes place, right? So when you're releasing, then also the body is detoxing. It needs rest. Because when do you detox? When you are resting, right? The parasympathetic nervous system has to be active when you want to release or you want to detox yourself.
Right.
And actually, rest is required after most of these sessions. Sometimes some people feel energized. Sometimes some people feel a little low. So many times she felt good after the sessions. Many times she feel exhausted, depending on what state of consciousness you've gone to and what kind of a issue that you have dealt with.
So depending on what that issue which she has gone through is something which she is going through in today's world, no?
No, so she
Because
many times what you're going into in a past life regression is related to what you're going on over here, and that's why it can become more stressful. You could also go into a past life regression and get to know something about what you can deal with in this life. Sometimes it's just information that you need to have to be able to manage this life better. So on and so forth.
Okay. Thank you.
For the first time since she was a young child, she felt some joy and real happiness in her life. Occasionally would pass each other in the hallway or in the cafeteria line, but we had no formal doctor-patient contact.
So again, there was a lot of clearing which took place, and naturally it started allowing her to live a better life.
Winter passed and spring began. Catherine scheduled an appointment in the office. She had been having a recurring dream about a religious sacrifice of some sort that involved snakes in a pit. People, including herself, were being forced into the pit. She was in the pit trying to climb out by digging her hands into the sandy walls. The snakes were just below her. At this point in the dream, she would awaken, her heart pounding wildly. Despite the hiatus, she fell quickly into a hypnotic state. Not surprisingly, she was instantly back in an ancient lifetime.
So that's why, many times we need to come back after some processing is done. That's why the scheduling of the appointments also need to be done. Yeah, if you've taken care of something, then it's over. But then again, some other stuff may start coming back because the door has opened, right? For you to experience that experience. Okay, I think we can
Yeah.
stop here. Yes,
Can I ask you that
Of
that
course.
means if you're taken into that state,
yeah.
into a maybe you're having a very bad experience, can
Mm.
it affect you in this state in this life?
It could, right? If a person has memory of it, many times when people go into past life regression, they have a
Yeah.
memory of it also. Okay,
And
so
it can
it could. See, that's why in my view, Shivangla, you can stop the share now. In my view, it is better to go into these states of consciousness where you have control yourself rather than giving control to a therapist. And this actually happens in Focus 15. Okay, where you can go into any life. You can go and picture yourself in any time. You can go into AD, HD, whatever you want, right? And picture yourself. Look for yourself in that state of consciousness using that ID. This is something that you learn in the Gateway Voyage.
I didn't understand
Yeah.
that, but
Now, so again, I'm saying the focus, you've experienced Focus 10 and 12, right?
yeah.
In the Gateway Voyage, we go into something called the Focus Level 15, where all past life regression takes place. So now if you have the capacity to get into that state of consciousness, you can go forward in time. You can go into other lifetimes yourself. You don't need a therapist anymore.
Therapist, okay.
So now if you're having a problem here, you can set an intent going into that state of consciousness that show me where I have experienced this before and what is the solution to this experience that I'm experiencing now and what lesson can be learned from the previous experience that I've had, or it could be a future experience also that you're having, because the future also affects the past affects the future, right? So you can go up front and back in time in Focus 15.
Oh.
So it's a state of no time. I don't know if anyone has experienced Focus 15 and using it over here. Okay,
Is it dangerous, Bhaiya? Is it
Not at all.
dangerous? Like when
Focus-
you keep going up, you
Focus-
can sort of control, because here the therapist is controlling you, right? Because he can bring you back if he feels that you're not comfortable as he did. But when you do it yourself, you can come back and go forward
101%. Your bladder will bring you back,
Okay.
and then you have so many encodings to be able to come back into C1 consciousness. We've not lost anyone till now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bhaiya, can I ask you one? This 15 is then very similar to 12, because when you go to 12 also and you ask for a question.
You're asking a question over there and you're getting an answer. In 15, you can actually perceive, go into a particular year and perceive yourself. You can actually observe yourself in that situation. You can observe yourself in a lifetime. You can slow down and make time slow down and go fast also.
Okay.
So many people who have experienced Focus 15, they will say that I was doing a task and I know I will be late. Right? I go into Focus 15 and I reach on time. नहीं समझ में आया?
Sort of.
I'll tell you. So Sudha Murari, she attended the, you know Sudha, right?
Yeah.